Yeah. Hair flip, yeah, I'm a badass bitch. I don't like it. Hair flip, yeah. Oh my god. So you guys should be happy. Oh my goodness. Hair flip. But anyways, hair flip. Hair flipping on these toes. Hi.
Who is Theresa Kelly and where is she now? Surviving R. Kelly brought to the forefront the explosive allegations against the acclaimed R&B singer R. Kelly. The documentary shines a light on the horrific deeds of Kelly and the systematic abuse that he allegedly put several girls through. However, amidst all the allegations against Kelly and the monumental proof of his actions, Surviving R. Kelly also touches upon the abuse the singer himself faced at the hands of a family member. Notably, R. Kelly and his younger brother, Theresa Kelly, went through years of sexual abuse at the hands of someone very close to them. Earlier, in a 2012 interview with Tavis Smiley, Kelly had acknowledged the fact but did not name the abuser. In an explosive interview with the vlogger, Kelly opened up about the abuser, naming his and R. Kelly's sister, Theresa Kelly, as being the person responsible. Naturally, you may be interested in knowing where Theresa Kelly, R. Kelly, and Theresa Kelly's alleged abuser is at the moment. Now that the spotlight is back on R. Kelly's life due to Surviving R. Kelly, we have got you covered in that regard. Who is Theresa Kelly? Theresa Kelly is the older sister of R. Kelly and Theresa Kelly. Born to Joanne Kelly, she grew up with the family in the Ada B, the Wells Home Public Housing Project, in Chicago's Bronzeville neighborhood. The Kelly family patriarch was absent throughout, so it fell on Joanne to provide for them. While the mother was away at work, it fell upon Theresa to look after her young siblings. According to Carrie, Theresa first molested R. Kelly when he was 7 and she was 13. Carrie got molested when he was 6 and Theresa was 16. She started abusing them when entrusted with the babysitting duties. Part of her strategy was to let Bruce, the second eldest sibling, go out to play. However, R. Kelly and Carrie were punished, which required them to be with her inside the house. Theresa always took care to separate the two, meaning that Carrie was never present when Kelly was molested and vice versa. While Carrie believes that the singer went through the same molestation, he cannot speak for his brother. The interview, however, goes into graphic details about what Theresa did to Carrie. She made him perform oral sex on her, and when he started crying, she performed oral sex on him. Carrie also alleged that Theresa had sexual intercourse with him as well. The abuse went on for years, and the last Carrie saw Theresa was at their mother Joanne's funeral in 1993. Their last conversation was in 2008 when Carrie forgave Theresa for molesting him. However, the latter denied any such thing happened. According to Carrie, R. Kelly took it differently. He got along with Theresa even after the fact because he saw it as an instance of him losing his virginity. Carrie stated, "I believe that Robert took it as she opened up a side of him or showed him some things before any other woman had. I think that's what made him the monster he is today. I believe she opened Pandora's box."
So just to break that down a little bit about the alleged sexual abuse, is that Theresa would have the eldest brother, Bruce, go outside and play. And when he will go outside and play, it's giving him freedom. He got the freedom because he was not susceptible to the abuse. He would not have allowed it. She knew that she could not manipulate him. So she manipulated the younger two. She looked at them as, easier targets. So she would have Bruce go outside and play, as he would have protected his younger brothers if he was around, present, seeing what was going on. So in his mind, when he goes outside to play, he just goes outside to play. There's nothing bad happening while he's gone. And in the process, she would separate R. Kelly and Carrie Kelly, and she would abuse them separately. Now, it had first started with R. Kelly. So with R. Kelly being abused, him being placed on punishment would be the reason that he would be told that he and Carrie cannot go outside and play with Bruce. So R. Kelly, in this alleged mind frame that he had with his victims, that he would lock them in rooms allegedly and keep them all isolated from each other until it was time for certain sexual encounters. It seems as if he got that from his sister Theresa. That is what she did to him. She would isolate him from his siblings and everyone. So his mom was gone. She wasn't present because she was at work. His older brother, he couldn't reach out to because he was always outside being a kid, doing what boys do. And his younger brother, Carrie, was always isolated from him, even in the same home. So while they were being isolated, R. Kelly pretty much just sat around in the room, on punishment, thinking he's on punishment, until Theresa came in and would sexually abuse him. It's a pattern. It's the same thing he allegedly did with his victims. So let's get into Carrie Kelly a little bit more, and we will dive further into what Theresa Kelly allegedly did to her brothers, Carrie and Robert.
Or not quite.
Yes.
Tell me about your relationship with your brother growing up. Were you guys close?
I mean, we was like the average kids, growing up. Actually, me and Bruce was closer, because by me being the baby, Robert was the baby before me. I'd put it that way. So when I came along, it's just like maybe I shouldn't have came along. So my mom kind of paid a lot of attention to me because I'm the youngest, and I really needed her help and looked for her guidance. So, he's no longer the baby at this point.
So you guys, it doesn't sound like you were particularly close growing up.
Not really. I mean, yeah and no, because a lot of times I used to try to look for his blessing on different things. By me being the youngest, we played basketball, things of that nature, and I used to want to be like Michael Jordan, like they wanted to be like Michael Jordan, so I wanted to always look for their approval. Bruce gave it to me pretty much, but Robert, it was a challenge. Because like I said, he was the baby before I was born, so.
And then tell me the order of your siblings, oldest to youngest.
My sister Theresa, she's the oldest. Then it's Bruce, then Robert, then me.
And Bruce is in prison right now?
He's in the county.
He's in county jail?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you decide to participate or be interviewed for Surviving R. Kelly?
Well, it's a lot of different things. I mean, that my family has endured and went through. I love my brother. A lot of people think that I'm trying to just like destroy his character or destroy him. It's not about that. My thing is, if my mom was here, my mom spoke the truth. And she always taught us to speak the truth. And it's like a lot of things that transpired and happened, I feel bad that I hadn't came forth earlier.
So in the clip before, we hear Carrie Kelly state that R. Kelly was the youngest sibling until he came, meaning that R. Kelly got a lot of attention from their mother, Joanne Kelly, until Carrie was born. Not only that, R. Kelly had a very weird relationship with his mother. Let's get a little bit into that. So this article is dated January 27th, I believe 2017. Wow, where do we begin? The question is, did R. Kelly's comments about being in love with his mother go too far? Well, this stems from a recent interview with GQ magazine where R. Kelly recorded video snippets of his thoughts and ranging from his relationship with his mother to R. Kelly singing his life story. But in this less than 2-minute video, he spoke about a memory of his mother and how he would drink from the same cup as she would, that he was madly in love with his mother and asking his mother to marry him. Yes, he asked his mother to marry him. Now, our take on this, if this were someone like Malcolm Jamal Warner or Will Smith recalling precious memories of their loving relationship with their moms, then this would be grabbing a tissue while filled with emotion or something so sweet. But with R. Kelly,
Mom would go to McDonald's before she'd go to work, before I go to school, and she would get us a Danish. It's all we could afford is a Danish and a cup of coffee. And we would split the Danish and cup of coffee. She wore this cheap lipstick. And she would put 3 creams and 6 sugars in the coffee. And she would stir it up. She would open the Danish, split it with a little plastic white knife. She had this cheap lipstick, and she would taste the coffee to make sure.
we've seen comments where folks have said he has Oedipal complex. The Oedipal complex is a child's desire to have sexual relations with a parent of the opposite sex. Now, I think that's going a bit far. Take a look for yourself and tell us, is this young man expressing loving feelings for his mom, or is it something else?
Me and my mom would go to McDonald's before she'd go to work, before I go to school, and she would get us a Danish. It's all we could afford is a Danish and a cup of coffee. And we would split the Danish and cup of coffee. She wore this cheap lipstick. And she would put 3 creams and 6 sugars in the coffee. And she would stir it up. She would open the Danish, split it with a little plastic white knife. She had this cheap lipstick, and she would taste the coffee to make sure it was sweet enough. And she'd leave the ring of lipstick on the coffee in which she tasted the coffee. And I remember when she would give me mine, when I would sip from the cup, I would turn it around and I would drink from her lipstick part. Because in a son-mother way, I had a serious, serious crush on my mom because she could sing her butt off. And I just looked up and down to her. I looked around, I looked everything about my mother. You know, I loved her. And I even asked her to marry me one day. I was like, nah. She said no. But you know what? I understood.
R. Kelly described what happened when he confronted a relative who sexually abused him. In 2016, an interview with GQ, R. Kelly sat down with writer Chris Heath and agreed not to hold back on revealing his truths. Although there are many moments where it is obvious that R. Kelly does hold back and even admits that he won't talk about specific things, Kelly was straightforward about his sexual experiences as a child, as he also was in his book, Solo Coaster. The now imprisoned R. Kelly believes the sexual abuse he suffered is something that is passed down from generation to generation, so that in each new generation, victim becomes perpetrator. R. Kelly's thoughts on not having his father in his life. His quote, "If I could change anything, I would definitely have had my father around. My father. I would definitely say it affected me deeply as a young man. Coming up, who doesn't want a father? Those are the beginnings, and those are what can dictate the roads you choose in life, and choosing them well, and it affected me." R. Kelly never told a soul about the sexual abuse he endured until his 2012 memoir, Solo Coaster. It was something he put so far in back of my mind that I forgot about it. This wasn't the history he wanted for the person he was becoming. As I got older, the more I just didn't want it to be in my past. The more I became successful, he was determined that the R. Kelly the world would know, the one who would sell more than 30 million albums, have 36 Billboard Hot 100 hits, invent his own strange musical language, write hits for countless others, and conceive one of the weirdest synthesis of videos and music of all time, Trapped in the Closet, would be someone else. I didn't want that to be something that was in my luggage once I got my success home, so to speak. R. Kelly says he had several sexual violations done to him as a child, including one by a trusted male family friend who tried to persuade him to masturbate him for money, which R. Kelly says he refused. Kelly's quote, "It was a crazy, weird experience," he tells me, but not a full-blown experience because it didn't go down. Contact sexual? No. A visual? Absolutely. A visual from him showing me his penis and all that stuff. But he describes in his memoir how the full-on sexual abuse that lasted for several years, it was oral sex the first time, though he tells me it soon became intercourse. Started one day when Kelly fell asleep in front of the TV and was awoken from a crazy dream about Three's Company to find a woman playing with him. Kelly's quote, "I tried to push her away, but she wouldn't stop until she was finished. When she was, she said, 'You better not say anything to no one or you're going to get a terrible whooping.'" The book says nothing about how this woman was connected to Kelly, other than implying that she was a regular presence in their home. But while we talked, he refers to her as a relative. He doesn't say this as though he expects it to be any kind of relation to me, more as he assumes I already know it. I wonder if he realizes she wasn't described like that in the book. Kelly's quote, "At first, I couldn't judge it," he says to me. When I asked him if he realized at the time that that was a really bad thing that was happening, Kelly's quote, "I remember it feeling weird. I remember feeling ashamed. I remember closing my eyes or keeping my hands over my eyes. I remember those things, but couldn't judge it in one way or the other fully." And did that change over time? Kelly's quote, "Over time, yeah. I remember actually after a couple years looking forward to it sometimes, acting like I didn't, but I did." How often would the abuse happen? Oh, it came a regular thing. Every other day, every other week. How many years did it go on? As far as I can remember, about age 7 or 8, maybe 14, 15, something like that. Did anything in particular make it stop? When I started having a girlfriend, I felt really bad about it. Then I started getting older, knowing that's not what's supposed to happen. Family members especially. And I think it started getting scary for them because I just started acting really different about it. And I think it became a turnoff to them and a scary thing. Was the person doing this still around in your life? People can say, "Hey, well, he's just trying to protect himself." Well, I have nothing to protect from me. Absolutely. But eventually, they stopped being around me. Are they still around now? No, I haven't seen them in so long. What happened when he confronted his abuser? Did you ever have a discussion with them about it? Tried to, but how long ago was that? Maybe 8 or 9 years ago. Didn't want to talk about it, didn't own up to it. Told me sometimes when you're kids, you think you've been through something or did something that you didn't do. Probably was a dream, things like that. But it definitely was not a dream. They're an actual blood relative? Kelly's quote, yeah. What do you think about what they did? I definitely forgive them as I'm older. I look at it and I know that it had to be not just about me and them, but them and somebody older than them when they were younger, and whatever happened to them when they were younger. I look at it as if there was some sort of a generational curse, so to speak, going down through the whole family, not just starting with me and doing that to me, somebody also doing that to her. R. Kelly stated in the GQ interview that when he was younger, a male friend of the family tried to sexually abuse him, and it didn't get far. Nothing got physical. It was just more so of visuals that he saw that he probably shouldn't have. It was very inappropriate for a child to see. But I believe that R. Kelly is lying about that because he wants to protect himself and protect himself against the stigma of being looked at as gay because a man sexually abused him. A lot of men get really confused by if somebody abuses you, that it is not you choosing within that situation. Therefore, it does not make you gay, even if it is the same sex. So, R. Kelly's mom took a $5,000 bribe not to testify against the man who sexually abused him as a child, claims singer's brother. So R. Kelly's perpetrator, the predator, if you want to call him, the male family member, definitely got charged with sexual assault, molestation. Definitely got charged with it, and the charge was because of R. Kelly. But his mother took a $5,000 bribe not to testify, okay? So let's get into that. Surviving R. Kelly Part 2, The Reckoning, picks up from the original documentary, after which the disgraced R&B singer was formally charged with 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse, left off. Apart from fresh, never-before-heard testimonies from child RAPE survivors and criminals, as well as psychiatric experts. After declaring at the beginning of the interview that despite what was being said about his brother, he still loved him, Bruce said, "Robert can't handle this. Robert is used to hiding with his music, but there's no music to hide with him now." But Bruce and Carrie described R. Kelly as a timid boy who stayed in the house and played on his keyboard while the rest of his siblings mingled with friends their age and played outdoors. All three of them looked out for each other. They formed a band together at some point during their childhood. Despite receiving no formal training in music, all of them had a natural interest, nourished by their mother, who had a golden voice. But among them all, the most amount of talent belonged to R. Kelly. The moment that he opened his mouth and sang, we all knew he was special, Carrie said. When the brothers moved on to talk about a man in his 60s living in their building called Eli Henry, their cheery tone changed. Although none of them thought that the family neighborhood uncle was much of a threat, they soon discovered otherwise. Carrie recalled an instant where the three of them had gone over Henry's apartment and, on seeing him wearing nothing but black boxers, asked him why he did not have on more clothes. When the middle-aged man turned toward them, they saw him holding his private parts, which he pulled out of his underwear in his hands. The brothers then dashed out of the apartment as fast as they could, Carrie added. Another instance involved R. Kelly complaining about Henry after the latter tried to touch him inappropriately. Although the man was first beaten up by the people in the community and then thrown in jail, he managed to easily get bail. "He gave my mom $5,000 for her not to come to court," Bruce revealed. "I don't have any ill will for my mother because I know she was struggling, but if it had been my child, I don't think no amount of money would have made me not prosecute that dude." R. Kelly also mentioned being abused by an anonymous family member in his song, I Admit, whose lyrics include the line, "I admit a family member touched me," from a child to age 14. Although Carrie did not explicitly mention who the alleged abuser in the family was, he admitted being abused by the member too when he was young, and that member was not much older than they were at the time. "I was 6 years old when it happened," confessed Carrie. Before going into graphic detail about how the abuse took place, he also admitted that the member abused R. Kelly, adding that he suspected he enjoyed the abuse. "I think it affected him in more ways than we all know," said Carrie. So at this point in time, we can definitely say that R. Kelly was allegedly sexually assaulted by a man in his 60s that they called the neighborhood uncle, a family friend. And after the neighborhood found out about what he was doing to R. Kelly and another boy came forward and stated allegations against him too, the neighborhood ended up beating that older man very badly in the streets. And then after that same day, after he was beaten by the neighborhood, they got him arrested and he went to jail, and that's when he was charged. The reason why it never went all the way through is because the day R. Kelly's mom was supposed to come and testify on her son's behalf, she decided not to because she was given a $5,000 bribe to take care of her 4 children as a single mother. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about that as a parent, or even if you're not a parent. Would you have taken the money over getting justice? I know most of you feel just like I do and just how Bruce Kelly felt. We definitely would have prosecuted him. R. Kelly, once again, he felt unprotected by his mother when it came to his sister, and he also felt unprotected when it came to this man in the neighborhood that had his way basically with him. So this is a child that had just been abused in so many different ways, shapes, and forms, to where he was just so confused, with life, So once again, let me know what you think in the comments about this. Where is Theresa Kelly now? As it is evident, Theresa put her siblings through a lot, and might even be held accountable for part of R. Kelly's own behavioral patterns. While Theresa likes to keep a low profile and avoid the public eye, we know from Carrie's interview that she grew up to be a woman of God. She attended several of R. Kelly's concerts with her pastor and congregation. Eventually, Theresa moved to Aurora, Illinois, which is about an hour away from Chicago by road. Theresa is 58 years old today and since does not use social media. Her current location or status remains largely unknown. There have been reports stating that she has children of her own and that she works as a stylist. Some claims have been that Theresa might have changed her name after the attention she inevitably started to get following Carrie's accusations. In conclusion, we know for sure that she last moved to Aurora and denied having sexually abused Carrie as a child. Interestingly, the social media era against Theresa resulted in a few innocent persons being heckled after they were mistaken as R. Kelly's sister. Hopefully, Theresa will come forth soon and address the allegations against her and be held accountable accordingly. R. Kelly's mother, Joanne Kelly, died in 1993 of cancer. Kelly's allegedly close relationship to her at the time of her death has been challenged by family and friends. Now, we will get into that in part 3 and R. Kelly's relationship with his mother fully. We will do a whole background in it. But let's get into how, when she passed away, how close the majority of the family members started to become. So let's get into this next clip of Carrie and Bruce Kelly at their mother's gravesite.
First, I'd like to say happy birthday to my mother, Joanne Kelly. Got a message for her. Some cards that I like to read. I think about the time we spent together and your steady, loving presence in my life. And I know there's no one on earth who could mean as much as you do to me. Thanks for forever being an amazing mom to us. I'd like to add personal greetings. Hi, Mom. It's your oldest boy. I really miss our special times together. We shared watching the honeymooners and eating our steak and lobsters. The world will never know how special you were to me and my brothers and sisters. But I will never forget the love that you gave us. It will forever be embedded into my heart. So I'll just say happy birthday to us, because you were born this day. This day that created us. Loving birthday, Mom. I love
you. Hi, Mom. This your baby boy. And I just want to say that me and my brothers and my sister miss you dearly. We love you so much, and it still hurts that you are not here in the physical, but we can feel you in the spiritual. We all would like to apologize for our behavior toward each other and the way that we behave in front of the world. The world's seen our flaws, and we apologize. You didn't raise us that way. So please, Mama, can you forgive us and continue to send prayers to the man above for restoration of our family? And thank you for being the greatest mother that we know and our guardian angel. Love you, Mama. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mama. Happy birthday, Mama. We speak on our brother and our sister behalf. They're not here with us. They in the physical, wherever they are, but they in the spiritual with us. We love them as well. We're gonna get it right, Mama. I promise you we are. Because in order for us to see you again one day, we got to be right with God. We got to be right with each other. We got to be right with family. That's how y'all raised us. Love you, Mama.
Love you, Mom.
We rolling? Are we rolling? Are we rolling? Are we rolling? This is my life. I'm R. Kelly and this is my life. This is my life. This is my life. I'm R. Kelly and this is my life. My eyes have seen a lot of things coming up in the hood. Jeffrey Manors, Argyle Gardens, 63rd and Michigan. Oh, the South Side wasn't no punk. I fell from the sky, landed on the ground. And then I woke up as a whale in the middle of a pond. And the minute I opened my mouth and started to sing, oh, that changed everything. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I don't know just how I got here, just how I made it, just how I made it, just how I made it here. But I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. But coming up in the hood, I saw so many things. Those so many things brought me all of my dreams. And now here I am today. Here I am today. 'Cause if you know how to deal with your problems, and depending on how you deal with your problems, that will become the measure. That will become the measure. You can make it. Ooh, you can make it. You can make it. You can make, you can make it up. You can make it as long as you're breathing, long as you're alive. You can make it up. Yeah, that's right. I was a street performer. I was a street performer. I was a street performer. I was a street performer, and I will always be first, a street performer.
Flesh,